Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your HIMediaTV news update. I'm your host and just updating the Trump assassination attempt from yesterday. We have more information. We've given 12 hours, so we know now. Thomas Matthew Crooks is the name of the shooter. Um, I'm pulling from multiple sources, but we're using the BBC's article by Tom MacArthur, Tom Bateman, and Bernard Dubsman as the as kind of just a congregation of a lot of the information. The FBI has confirmed this is who it is. He was a 20-year-old kitchen worker. He was shot dead at the scene by a Secret Service sniper. We knew they were killed at the scene. He was not carrying ID. So investors used DNA to identify him. He was from Bethel Park, PA, about 43 miles from the site. He graduated in 2022 from Bethel Park High School with a $500 prize for math, science, according to a local newspaper. He worked at a local nursing home kitchen, just a short drive away from his home. State voter records show he was a registered Republican, according to U.S. media. He also was reported to have donated $15 to a liberal campaign group via Act Blue in 2021. This is when he would have been 17 years old. According to U.S. media reports, he was wearing a T-shirt, a merch T-shirt from Demolition Ranch, a right-wing gun channel. Before anybody in the comments saying Demolition, they are. I've looked at their fucking Twitter. I see where the fuck. I looked at their Twitter to check to see if they were if they were like most gun channels in regards to being right wing, or vaguely hiding the fact that they're right wing, or the fact that they're some liberal anarchist kind of group. No, they're the right wing type. They're the right wing type. They suckle Elon Musk's knob, so that's a huge indicator. The channel has millions of subscribers. Blah 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 blah. Law enforcement officials believe that the weapon used to shoot Donald Trump was purchased by Crooks' father 6 months prior. Speaking on the condition of anonymity, 2 officers told the AP that Crooks' father bought a weapon at least 6 months ago. The day after the shooting, law enforcement sources told CBS, the BBC's U.S. partner, that a suspicious device found in Crooks' vehicle. There has not been an identified motive. We don't have any idea yet, so why he was. I am going to take a crack at this, if you don't mind, his motivation, because that's kind of the big thing. He was a registered Republican. He liked right-wing online content, and yet he tried to assassinate Donald Trump. Now, right-wing lunatics are going to obviously use the fact that when he was a 17-year-old kid, he donated $15 to Act Blue and used that as the smoking gun for him being a left-wing socialist, Marxist, blah blah. Insert right-wing fear response buzzword here. This is my take on what would probably happen. He was probably one of the disillusioned Bernie Bros in the wake of 2016. When the DNC basically forced, the DNC used their internal mechanisms, essentially their super delegates, to basically make it so Bernie lost, even though he won most of the convention. And he's one of those disillusioned Bernie-crats. And what a lot happened to these guys is that you might have some like me who were relatively principled, things like that, leaving things to say, and then you have others, who and this guy definitely has the phrenology of that, ugly motherfucker, who essentially realize shit, I'm not going to be able to escape this wage slavery. Nobody wants to fuck me. I'm not going to get my government mandated wife from this, and incel-y type behavior. Let me see what Trump is going to do, and swapped over. When I think that the $15 donation, which happened on Biden's inauguration, but mind you, was a symbolic gesture of defiance against the moderate Democrats. There were plenty of people in the left-wing sphere that were losing their shit over this, and it's. I think that's ultimately what it was. From there, I think a lot of the former Bernie-crats kind of they went the disillusioned Bernie-crats with incel-y tendencies went in different directions. Some went the direction of Caleb Maupin and the CPI, his fucking sex cult. Some people went in the direction of just being a straight up botnik in campus. A lot went towards the sort of libertarian-y, bad government, bad sort of really remove yourself from the equation kind of types, and that kind of seems where Thomas Matthew Crooks went. That way is very well known for being very hospitable to new people, and kind of reinforcing pre-existing beliefs without actually saying exactly what they should believe. It's all very vague, and it was a very good way for these nominally left wing, as teenagers, and then just kind of wanting any kind of change, and also hating the fact that people, they are unattractive and unfuckable. They went towards that. I think ultimately, while obviously there is a I'm not gonna say large, but a vocal contingent of the right wing that is that kind of militant libertarian type that does also hate Trump, specifically for the things he did around bump stocks. And to their credit, they're not completely fucking stupid. They also recognize that the Project 2020 stuff that's going to be happening is going to lead to they might love the idea of the executive branch getting dismantled, but there is plenty of things in that are still in their mind authoritarian. So these are reactionaries from the right of Trump, and similar to how Lee Harvey Oswald originally wanted to kill a Southern senator for in political action guy because of his constant rhetoric and talk in his opposition to McCarthyism, and ultimately ended up killing Kennedy instead. Kennedy, by the way, being someone more politically aligned with Lee Harvey Oswald's self-supposed left-wing Marxist views. At that point, it wasn't about politics. It was about attention. And I think that also might have a place here. I think that if Thomas Matthew Crooks wanted to take a shot at a presidential candidate based around his politics, I think Donald Trump is a solid option in terms of, if my theory here is correct. This is a theory I'm kind of synthesizing from a couple other commentators as well. I think Biden would have been the better test case in that regard. Trump might have but I think Trump just was an easier mark just because of how open things were. Yes, the Secret Service was, protecting him, but let's be fucking for real. There's a difference between Secret Service protecting a former president and the actual president, but I digress. I think ultimately, but now that we kind of have an idea of let's just restate the facts. TMC was a registered Republican. He consumed a lot of right-wing online content to the point where he purchased and wore merchandise of which to go attempt an assassination. I don't think that the Act Blue donation, especially given the sheer amount of radicalization that has happened to so many people, the difference between in radicalization between 2021 and 2024 in ages past would be unheard of, but it's completely valid. I've seen people that I know that have gone from being moderate conservatives to full fucking Nazis, and I've seen people who have gone from being moderate Democrats to wanting to fucking have a socialist revolution. So I think ultimately, I think people are downplaying the sheer amount of radicalization that can happen to somebody that has happened to people over the last 3.5 years, and I think the actions of TMC today is more representative of what his politics are and who he was, compared to one $15 donation made by a 17-year-old kid back then. I think the disillusioned Bernie crat to libertarian whack job pipeline, I think it's feasible and a known phenomenon. But the thing is, I think ultimately the right wing is still going to perpetuate that he was like a left wing Marxist, socialist, anarchist, blah blah blah. Like just every buzzword that gets 50-plus-year-old Fox viewers shaking at their goddamn boots. So I think ultimately, even if he didn't have that Act Blue donation, I think what ultimately was going to happen was they're going to paint him as a left-wing radical that tried to assassinate Trump, because ultimately they want to do the retaliatory killings. They want to retaliate. They want to attack left-wing Congress people. They want to firebomb gay people's houses. Like ultimately, the reactionary lunatics on the right want to do heinous shit to their political opponents, and so they need for them to have their perceived moral high ground to do so, they can't be the ones to lob the first shot. So they will do everything in their power to have this person, who is ostensibly closer to them than they are to someone like me, paint them as someone like me, so they have an excuse to start killing us. And I think that is they're going to do that anyways. They even if there wasn't an Act Blue donation, they would have just lied and done it anyways, because that's what the right wing does. They lie whenever they want certain things to go their way. So, be careful. If you are a left of center, buy firearms. The only reason you as a left-wing individual need a firearm, it's not for home defense. It's not even for self-defense. It is just in case right-wing lunatics start fog marching down the street, and you and your neighbors need to be able to splay their gray matter out on the street and defend your communities. Like, it is community defense. That is, and if you are not comfortable doing that, start trying to save up some money and seek asylum in a different fucking country, because shit is going to get weird soon. No matter where you go, still get your absentee ballots. Still remember to vote this November. At the end of the day, voting is the least effective form of civil engagement. The positives of voting are non-existent, but the consequences of not voting we are living with to this day. 3 Supreme Court justices, cough, cough, cough. So, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, this election season is going to be fucked. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to talk to me outside of this video, outside of live streams, or just join the community and be a part of it, you can do so at HIMediaTV/Discord. Discord links there. We'd love to have you. And given the financial situation of the economy right now, I know this is a tall ask, but if you have the scratch to spare, please consider donating and becoming a supporter at HIMedia.gg/tip. All of our perks are serviced through our Discord channel, including early access videos, exclusive videos, and more. Your generosity is a blessing, and $1 a month is a boon to my mental health. Thank you so very much for watching. I appreciate you, and have a great day.